So you're probably here because you're trying to figure out which online TRT clinic to actually trust with your health, Rugiet or Fountain TRT. So I've spent a lot of time researching both of these platforms, comparing everything from how they diagnose you, what treatments they offer, what you're actually paying for, etc., and what the experience is like on each one. By the end of this video, I'm going to make this decision really simple for you. Now, quick heads up, if you just want to get your testosterone levels checked, Rugiet lets you do labs plus a doctor consultation for just 69 bucks. That's the cheapest legit entry point I found anywhere. Now, I've dropped a link in the description below because that'll save you up to 15% off. All right, so here's the deal. There are a ton of online TRT clinics popping up right now. And when you're dealing with something like your hormone levels, don't want to just pick the first one you see on a Google ad. It's a recipe for disaster. Now, Fountain TRT has been around for a while. They're one of the more well-known names in this space. And Rugiet has been gaining a lot of traction, especially with guys who already knew them from their ED treatments and are, now looking at their testosterone program. Now, one thing I want to address right away, some of you might be thinking, Rugiet is new to testosterone. Why would I trust them over Fountain? That's a fair question. But Rugiet has actually been operating as a men's health platform since 2018. They've already built a serious reputation in sexual health, and the testosterone program is built on that same clinical infrastructure. Same doctors, same lab partnerships, same patient-first approach. They didn't just slap a TRT page on their website. They expanded into it deliberately. Now, when I went through Rugiet's process myself, that's exactly what stood out. The intake wasn't rushed. The doctor actually spent time going over my labs, asked about my sleep, my stress levels, my goals, and then walked me through which treatment pathway made the most sense for my situation. It didn't feel like I was being funneled toward one product. It felt like a real consultation. It wasn't a sales call. So I wanted to break down the real difference between these two, because on the surface, they look pretty similar. Both are telehealth. Both ship treatments to your door. Both require lab work. But once you dig in deeper, there are some pretty significant gaps. And this is where the biggest differences shows up. And honestly, well, this is what sold me on Rugiet. Now, Fountain TRT primarily prescribes topical testosterone cream. They also offer injections and enclomiphene. That's solid, but it's a fairly standard menu. Rugiet takes it further. They offer enclomiphene as a standalone pathway, which is huge if you're a younger guy or you're trying to preserve fertility. Because it works by stimulating your body's own testosterone production instead of replacing it with external hormones, which you probably shouldn't do unless you need to. But now on top of that, they offer full TRT with injectables, orals, and topical options. So you're getting 3 different administration methods for traditional TRT, plus a completely separate non-TRT pathway with enclomiphene. Now, that level of choice matters because your body is different from the next guy's. Maybe you hate needles. Maybe you travel a lot and a daily cream doesn't fit your lifestyle. Maybe you're planning to have kids and TRT would suppress your sperm production. Well, Rugiet actually gives you a path for each of those scenarios. Fountain is more limited. Both platforms start with an online intake and lab work, and that's pretty standard across the industry. The process feels more like working with a real clinic. A licensed US doctor reviews your hormone levels and your symptoms, discussing your goals, and then determines the best therapy approach. Not just rubber stamps a cream and then determine the best therapy approach. They don't just, give you a cream prescription and call it good. They're looking at the full picture here. Now, don't get me wrong, Fountain also has good doctors. Their co-founder is a board-certified urologist, which is legit. But from what I've seen in reviews and from the way they present the process, it skews more towards getting you onto cream quickly. That sales pitch, right? That's not necessarily bad, but if you want a more thorough evaluation where the doctor might actually say, hey, let's try enclomiphene first before jumping to TRT, well, Rugiet gives you that flexibility. But all right, let's talk about pricing. Fountain TRT runs about $199 per month on their starter plan, which covers medication, labs, telehealth visits, and support. Now, if you commit to a long plan, it can drop to about $150 per month. Rugiet's pricing is structured differently and ends up being more competitive, especially at longer commitments. Your initial labs plus doctor call is just $69, like I said before. Then all-inclusive care runs about $179 a month on a 3-month plan, $150 a month on a 6-month plan, and if you lock in 12 months, it drops to $139 per month. That 12-month price is genuinely hard to beat, especially when you compare it to others. And here's the kicker. Both are self-pay and both accept HSA and FSA. So there's no insurance headache either way. And this is where I think Rugiet really separates itself if you're thinking beyond just the next few months. Fountain is primarily a TRT clinic. That's their thing, their niche, their stick. They do it well, but that's the scope. They advertise 24/7 support and unlimited texting with your provider, which sounds great on paper, but some users have flagged occasional delivery delays and inconsistent communications. And That's worth knowing. Rugiet is a full men's health platform. They started with sexual health and have expanded into testosterone, hair loss, weight management, and sleep even. So if you're a guy dealing with low T and maybe some other things like ED, hair thinning, or you're looking at a GLP-1 for weight loss, well, you can handle all of that in one place with one medical team that already knows your history. Their approach is ongoing labs, ongoing clinical oversight, and no high pressure sales tactics. The reviews I've seen describe it as a genuinely consultative experience. That's the kind of continuity of care that's underrated. Instead of bouncing between 3 different telehealth apps, you've got one provider who sees the whole picture. And when your doctor already knows your hormone levels, your health history, and your goals, every follow-up conversation is just so much more productive. But to be fair here, Fountain TRT makes sense if you already know you want topical testosterone cream, you like the idea of a streamlined, simple process, and you just want to get started with minimal friction, or you don't want anything else. If you're locked in on this, it's fine. It's a reputable platform with real doctors, and it works for a lot of guys. Rugiet TRT is the better fit if you want more treatment options, better pricing as you commit longer, and a platform that handles more than just testosterone. Now, whether that's enclomiphene for a fertility-friendly approach, injectable TRT for more precise dosing, or an oral option for convenience, or access to their broader men's health services down the line, Rugiet gives you room to grow. You're not just signing up for a prescription, you're getting a health partner that can evolve with you. For me personally, that stacking of advantages made the decision obvious. So if you're sitting here trying to decide, here's my honest take. Both of these are legitimate platforms with real medical professionals. You're not going to get scammed by either one. But Rugiet gives you more treatment options, more flexibility, better long-term pricing, and a platform that covers men's health beyond just testosterone. That's why it's my recommendation. I dropped a link for Rugiet in the description. It'll save you up to 15% off. And at the end of the day, the worst thing you can do is keep guessing about your testosterone levels and doing nothing about it. Get the data, talk to a real doctor, and then make a decision from a position of knowledge, not fear. That's what I did. I compared everything, and Rugiet came out on top.